Chris, what is our third main topic today?
Our third topic comes from Raylean. Don't judge me, but for a long time, I'm now a weekly habit we've developed is stopping by the Redbox to grab a movie to take home and watch.
Welcome here from 1998. That's wonderful.
I know.
That's
we're
sweet.
old. My newsfeed today showed me a story that I knew would be coming since whenever I went to the Redbox, there was never a line in front of me and never one behind me either. Redbox just sold itself, and they're saying they're turning exclusively into a streaming service. What do you think? And is this the last nail in physical media's coffin?
All right, thanks for saying that in, Raylean. And yeah, look, the Redbox, I still remember the first time I saw a Redbox and I stopped for a second and go, this is genius. Like, this is absolute genius, not having to go to the actual, in my case, Rogers Video, because we were in Canada, and in many of your cases, Blockbuster or whatever your local mom and pop video rental store was. I'd have to go there and walk through the aisles. There's a kiosk with a list of all the most popular movies, and I can just hit a few buttons and it spits it out like a Diet Coke. This is ridiculously, and it blew up. And it started to go all over the place, and Redboxes started to proliferate, and and I've got them. Listen, I went on the Redbox website the other night, last night, and I searched for Redboxes in my immediate area. 13 of them in my immediate area. And there's certainly one in my main grocery store and all that kind of stuff. I've never seen anybody at it, but there's one right there in my main grocery store. But the times, they are a-changing. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write the following. Redbox Entertainment, the struggling DVD kiosk and streaming video company, has set a deal to be acquired by Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment in an all-stock transaction. The deal is valued at $375 million, which I already thought sounded low, comprising of about $50 million in Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment stock and the new company's assumption of $325 million in debt. Redbox CEO Galen Smith commented, by joining forces, we will accelerate Redbox's transition from a physical to high-growth digital media company and be the only entertainment provider truly focused on value for the consumers. That, of course, comes to us again from Variety. So two interesting things here. Chicken Soup for the Soul, by the way, has gone about acquiring a lot of stuff. Like, I think, what's the anime one?
Crunchyroll?
Crunchyroll. I believe they bought Crunchyroll from Sony.
They bought Crunchyroll?
I think they bought Crunchyroll from Sony. I could be wrong about that. I have to double check.
Junior high again? Redbox? Chicken Soup for the Soul?
I think they got maybe like Crackle, or maybe I'm confusing Crunchyroll and Crackle. But anyway, but they bought. They've got. I went through a list and I saw, wow, they've actually acquired a lot of different stuff. They're trying to position themselves as a runner of the AVOD or advertised-based video-on-demand services that are commercial-based and things like that. And Redbox is one of the things. So number one, there's that. But number two is that hearing from the CEO is like, yeah, we are transitioning away from being a physical media thing. We are now going to go whole hog. We're just going to go completely digital. And that is coming. And, Rob, when we look at the history of physical media, if you will, many people will point to the disappearance of Blockbuster and Rogers Video and whatever, things like that. But there was still Redbox. Still there in almost every grocery store. There is still that one bastion of physical media that was still there, and now it is also going away. My question is, considering I didn't see a lot of people using it anyway, is it even a big deal that Redbox is going away, or is it even symbolically a big deal about the status of physical media today? How do you see this?
Well, I mean, I'm always extolling the virtues of how much I love physical media, but the reality is physical media has been dropping about 20% a year in terms of sales. I think that this is just one more indicator that an era is coming to an end. I still love physical media because as a home theater enthusiast, the best way to get movies is like on a 4K disc. The image is not as compressed as it is when you're getting streaming, and especially if you want high-end audio. It's still the best way. The problem is nobody wants to do it anymore.
Right.
Nobody wants to manufacture discs, and Redbox, people say to me, Rob, isn't putting a disc in a machine so 20th century? Like, why do you want to do it?
And, I love these people.
But the thing is, the reason I love physical media is what's going to happen is eventually even streamers have to look and go, well, no one's watching this obscure cult horror movie from 1984. why do we have it on our service? And I think a lot of, and older movies, John, as much as I love older films, classic cinema, not a lot of people do. I mean, the fact is movies are a product of their era. You know, pop culture, I say it has a half-life of 20 years. Every 20 years back you go, people are less and less interested in older pop culture. That's just the nature of being a human being. You want to be part of something that's part of your age. But discs are going away. And Redbox was a disc, call it a retail rental service. No one wants to do that anymore. Why should you? And plus, it's not like Redbox is a place where you go to, say, like the Criterion Channel to find your favorite foreign film.
Right.
This was very much mainstream, big movies that people would rent that come out today, you know, Hollywood blockbusters. Nobody cares anymore. I mean, you'll wait and get it on streaming. There's so much to watch now. People will get around to it when they get around to it. But I do think this is just yet another indicator that the era is coming to an end. And plus, John, who's going to make players anymore? I actually went in and tried to buy a new high-end 4K disc player. There aren't many.
Yeah.
And
ever since Samsung got out of the physical media display
absolutely.
business,
I mean, I joke about your PlayStation 5, but because of PlayStation and Xbox including disc players in their machines, they've probably lengthened the lifespan of discs by a decade. So there's still boutique companies that are making, like, whether it's Kino Lorber or whether it's like Second Sight in the UK, that are putting out these beautiful editions with new special features. But that's a niche, and every year it gets smaller and smaller.
Aaron, I want to ask you, when is the last, I can ask this of all of us, but I want to start with Aaron here. What is the last DVD you rented?
Oh my God. The last one that comes to mind that I actually rented, I think was when I binged 24. And this was when Blockbuster was doing this really cool thing where you could like rent for, I don't know what they were doing, like you could rent like 4 things at a time or something like that.
Right.
And so I would basically binge the first, and one full season wasn't even on a full DVD. Like it was only like half the season on one DVD because they didn't have the capacity to have a full season of 24 on one DVD. So you had to have like 4 different DVDs for one season. So I would, and that was, I mean, God, that was like 2008, I want to say. It was that long ago, you know, and I mean, and even still, you know, as Chris knows, she was on the SAG nominating committee this year. We get every year members of SAG, members of the DGA, all of the different unions, we get these screeners for awards consideration. And SAG-AFTRA sent out an email this year saying, hey, we've gotten a lot of pushback on, you know, the waste and people not using the physical DVDs. We are now going to opt into a streaming only, but disc on request. You know, if you are one of those people that really wants to watch it on a disc, we will send one to you. But for the vast majority of our 750,000 membership or whatever it is, we're just going to rely on streaming. And I think that this is also not just an indication of what we see for physical media, because let's face it, and I think that Rob, I think you would agree with me on this, physical media really is about, it's for collectors. It's not just about watching the movie. It's about the actual act of collecting. I mean, if you think about stamp collecting and what a fervor that has. I mean, I used to be a stamp collector when I was younger, and, you know, there is something magical about finding that stamp that, you know, fulfills whatever it is that you're a collector of. I think that physical media is part of that versus just being able to watch it. And I think also if you look at the way that families view media, you know, they're talking about how it was a family thing for them to go to the Redbox and rent something, and then they would all watch it together. I mean, do teenagers actually sit with their parents and watch a movie anymore? I mean, when I was growing up, that's what we did. But then again, there were only 3 channels. I grew up clearly in the 1950s. And so I just feel like
You're
these
a time
days,
traveler.
yeah, like families just aren't sitting around. You know, everybody's got a home entertainment center. in their hand. Even your 12-year-old kid does. So what family is going to their local Redbox, renting a movie and sitting down and watching it together? I think that it's also just a symptom of our times and the way that families view movies. People are just not renting things anymore. I mean, Rob, would you agree that it's about that part of it is about collecting, and that's never going to go away?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the people that I know that collect physical media, we're all collecting these beautiful special editions that these companies are putting out, or you're getting the 4K version of the film. That's what you want, is you want the highest resolution, best quality copy of the film. That ultimately is what drives you. But as streaming gets better and more streamers are providing 4K options, I mean, I hate to say it, but like Disney, when they went with their IMAX enhanced versions of the Marvel films, they didn't release those on disc. And I really like the IMAX enhanced versions of Warner Brothers does, like Christopher Nolan does with the aspect ratio changes. But those discs, those versions on Disney, I have to say, I have all the Marvel movies on disc in 4K. I don't watch the IMAX enhanced versions anymore. I mean, I don't watch my disc anymore because I watch the IMAX enhanced because they're cooler. They look better. Infinity War and Endgame, when you see the IMAX enhanced versions, Thanos, you can see all of Thanos. And so they're making it, and I can't justify buying Disney discs anymore because they're not as good as they should be.
And they're coming up with more and more better compression for these things as well. Anyway, Ray, I'm just curious, what was the last movie you rented or whatever?
I'm going to tell you what happened. I think it was 2019. I went to Redbox because they actually rent out games too. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like an NBA 2K that I was on the fence about buying. I went to go rent it. I go home. I open it up. It's a paper of the disc with the barcode. Someone had copied it, cut it out, put it, and I guess the machine doesn't take weight into account, so it just scans the barcode and says it's checked in. So it was no game in there. It was just a piece of paper, and then I was like, I'm going to have all the games in the world now. I actually called and I was like, is this normal? And the guy on the phone tells me, yeah, it happens all the time. And I was like, how do you guys make money? Like, how do you trace this back? You could be like, oh, it was obviously the last person who rented it, right? Yeah. But you can't accuse people. It was just a whole thing that like boggled my mind that someone actually thought of this, or the machine doesn't have that much security, especially for $60 games. You would think there would be more of a check thing going on, but that's what people were doing. So I imagine
really shocking
if they put barcodes on the DVDs and Blu-rays as well, people were taking those too. I don't know.
You know, it's funny you mentioned 24. That was the last thing I ever rented too.
Really?
I had just moved to LA. I was living on Sunset, the first place I lived in LA.
With the big bean bag.
With the big bean bag chair. You remember that?
I don't think I'll ever forget that. Guys,
it's the biggest bean
John
bag chair
had
ever.
this bean bag that literally, if you imagine a breakfast nook, it would take up the entire size of a breakfast nook. Like, I don't even know how people would get on that bean bag.
Four
it was
people
just like
could fit on it. We called it the party sack, but that was just a good name for it.
I have so many things, but we have sponsors. So many things to say, but we have sponsors.
But I mean, I remember it was I think my second or third month living in LA. There was a Blockbuster up the street on Sunset Boulevard, and I had never seen 24, and the whole series is up, and that was the last thing I ever rented. Chris, what's the last thing you and Logan, or have you ever even in your marriage ever rented something?
I've never rented physical media with Logan Peets. That's bananas. I think the last movie I rented was probably something Cary Grant, like An Affair to Remember or something like that. I haven't seen a Redbox since they took it out of the 7-Eleven in Valley Village. Like, that's just where you would be like, oh, that's where you can go get crack. All right. Not movies. That's where I could go get drugs if I wanted to, I guess.
That's where you go get crack.
This whole story, and I'm so sorry to you. You even wrote in like, I'm old. No, you're not. This is just how you were consuming media. But like, I haven't thought about Redbox in years. And so reading the story was like, oh my God, there's still Redboxes? That's still a thing?
Lots of them too. But they're losing money like crazy.
Yeah, and it sounds like they've been losing money for a long time with this scheme that Ray's been running.
Look. I don't mean to start like giving people ideas. I mean, if you are stealing games like that or anything, I think that's the last thing you should be worrying about. You should be like trying to get something better.
Coming up next on the John Campea Show, Ray Ora tells you how to fake your blood alcohol level when the police pulls you over.
Logan says the last thing we rented was Thief for the PS3.
Oh, so again,
I was not part of that.
I was about to say printing scanners just went up.
Yeah.
All right, guys, question is for you. Redbox has been sold at a massive loss and announced they're going to be transitioning out of physical altogether into the streaming world. What does that mean for you? Like symbolically, literally, whatever. Whatever you guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. We want to take a minute and thank the sponsors of this video, Liquid IV. Now listen, just one stick of Liquid IV added to 16 ounces of water will hydrate you faster and more efficiently than just water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins like B3, B5, B6, B12, and of course vitamin C with 3 times the electrolytes as traditional sports drinks. And what makes Liquid IV so effective is the science of cellular transport technology, or CTT. You see, it's designed to enhance rapid absorption of water and other key ingredients into your bloodstream faster and more efficiently. You know, Ann and I get up pretty early in the morning to go to the gym because we can't go to the gym at any other time during the day. And for the last couple of weeks, I have been drinking 1 full glass of water with Liquid IV. And all I can tell you is you can feel the difference during the workout. So go and grab Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code CAMPEA at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you use the promo code CAMPEA, that's CAMPEA, at liquidiv.com. Experience better hydration today when you go to liquidiv.com, and remember, use the promo code at checkout, CAMPEA.